Okay, so over here on the ground floor, we've also got another ramp. As you can see, it's in this area. It has a 7% slope, and it's going up. So overall, we've got 3 ramps on here. Let's go check their offsets. You see this ramp starts from negative 1.20, then goes up from here, and its landing is negative 0.80, and the second is negative 0.40, and eventually ends at offset 0. So this is what we're about to draw. I'm going to go ahead and open Revit, and we're going to go through how we can draw this. I'll put this one in the corner. Then I'm going to go over here and grab the ramp command. Here it is, ramp. We're going to take that command and duplicate its primary type. And for its name, I'm going to put Kimia, followed by ramp, and also add site. Okay, now here I'm going to have to put the slope value. You probably already know how that works. If the plan says 7%, then here we're going to have to put 100 divided by 7. And so now this ramp has a 7% slope. Now, how much is its width? We're going to measure that here. And it looks like it's 3. So I'm going to go over here and select Run. And then over in the Properties palette, I'm going to put 3 for the width. Now we're going to adjust its base and end. So it starts from negative 1.20 and it has to end at the 0 offset. So for the base offset, I'm going to put negative 1.20 and its top level is going to be the ground floor, which is at the 0 offset. Alright, now we're going to begin from this point. Then draw the first ramp like so. And now we're going to have to draw the second ramp. But first, to be safe, I'm going to measure the distance for the width, and it looks like this one is also 3. So I'll select Run, and then I'm going to go up here. It goes up to this point, and that makes our second ramp. And now for the third and the last ramp, it'll have to go from here, and it ends at this point. Now it looks like the height or the length of this ramp is too short, so we're going to have to go back in here and increase the incline length a little bit. For example, I'll set it to 20. And after that, I'm going to grab this line and drag it here to extend the ramp. Alright, now we're going to click Finish. And so we have placed the 3 ramps we needed for the entrance. Now let's go check them out in 3D. I'm going to go over here and grab the spot elevation. Let me maximize the screen first. And now we check. So the base is negative 1.20. And after that there's this landing, which is at negative 80. Then the second landing here is negative 40. And the final ramp ends at the 0 offset. Now let's bring in the AutoCAD plan. And when we double check, we can see that all the values are correct. Also, the slope was 7%. And as for their lengths, we drew according to the plan. But now, one thing we have here is that we're going to need to rectify the ramp's landing and give them the curved angles as they have here. So I'm going to select to edit. Now, if we zoom in on here, we can see one little modeling mistake, which we're going to have to fix before anything else. So I'm going to align these edges with the drawing to make sure it's all exactly like the plan. We have another problem here. We're going to align these lines together. Then this one with this one. Unjoin them if necessary. Then we align these. And then these two. And basically we're going to have to align everything to what we have in the plan. There's these two. Then we have this side. Then this one with this one. And it looks like everything's aligned on here. And so that's it. So like we just said, the landings here have a curved angle that goes for both of these, which we're going to have to also fix and make according to the plan. So I'll grab Pick Lines, and I'm going to fix these angles. I'll use the Trim command and trim these two. Then this one with this one. And as for the leftover lines, I'm going to delete them. Let's do that again for the second landing. first trim the edges. This one with this one, and this one's going to be deleted. Alright, so it appears that everything is organized by now. I'll click finish, but we get an error. Basically it says that there's something wrong with the boundary. You see, since we've trimmed the lines and unjoined them, etc., the problem is probably from here. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I'm going to delete the risers. Then I'm going to double check my boundaries and see if they are fine or not. For example, for this part, it might be better that you place one boundary instead of two. Or for example, on here, it's best if we again place one boundary. So basically here we've got some boundaries which are joined together. We're going to have to check every single one of them. Then there's this one, which is the continuation. Then this here is a three-piece, and they're all connected to these lines. Now I'm going to grab riser, and I'm going to draw the risers now, only separately this time. Revit may sometimes give you some errors and warnings while you draw ramps and stairs, and you should never overlook them, but always double check and fix them while you can. Otherwise you'll draw and won't proceed. Now I'm going to draw this one here, and now I'll draw the last riser at the base. Alright, now click finish, but it looks like we again get an error. Now my guess is that this is the problem, and more specifically I'm talking about the curves that we've created. So I prefer to go back in here and select boundary this time, then grab the arc shape, and instead of trimming, I'm going to draw the arcs like this. So here's one. And also another good way to do that is that you draw the ramp straight even without the curves and see if by clicking finish it'll work. And after making sure it's fine and drawn, then you could also modify it with the curves. With the way that this command operates, it should finish now. So now I'm going to go over here and grab edit sketch, and then I'll grab the arc shape to draw the arc. Also that arc, let me grab pick lines. It is this one. So now I'm going to trim these two and then these two together. But it looks like again we can't finish this. Did you see what happened? I'm just going to delete this now, grab the arc shape again, and then I'm going to connect these two lines using the arc. Then click finish, and again we get an error. Now where do you think the problem is? The problem is for this corner. Usually the errors are about such parts, in a way that the riser hits the boundary, and then the boundary curves in. That's actually a pretty common error. It happens a lot with the stairs too. And the thing is that when we curve a boundary, there's a high chance that we get an error trying to finish it. If the riser is exactly at the part of the boundary which starts to curve, it usually gives us an error and won't allow us to draw it. So that's why I guess this was where the problem is. If you pay attention to the second ramp, you'll see that its boundary is a little bit extended from where the riser goes. So you see it goes further up and past the riser. But that's not the case with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this line and boundary and extend it a little bit. Just a little bit's enough. And then I'm going to grab the curve shape and connect it to this other end. There we go. And finish. As you can see, it worked. So whenever you come across any problems or errors, you're just going to have to play around with your drawing a little bit and take a closer look at the more sensitive parts. And if their boundaries are fit or too short, just extend them a little bit and just trick Revit into drawing it. And then you can go ahead and apply your curve. So there goes the ramp. Now I'm going to check it out in 3D. This is what the ramp looks like now. And as for the railings, we obviously don't need them because there's going to be walls here, but the only thing we're going to do is check the elevations. The base is at -1.20, and at this point it becomes -80 as it should be. Then here it's -40, and finally it ends at the same offset as the ground floor. That's exactly like what we had in the AutoCAD plan. So we didn't have too many problems with this ramp. And around here there's going to be some sidewalls, which will be kind of like a speed bump for the ramp, which we could very easily go ahead and draw them using Model in Place. Model in Place can be used for drawing all of this. Now where do we get the height of the sidewalls here? You might want to go and take a look at some of your elevations, specifically the ones which contain the ramp's profiles, and check to see if the height of the sidewalls are mentioned in there. So here we can clearly see the sidewalls for those ramps, which if we check the base elevation for them, Just in case you recall, the base of these stairs is actually at negative 1.90 offset. So that goes from here to here, and the elevation or height is 3.40. So from negative 1.90, we're going to have to go up by that value. So I'm going to go back in here and to the ground floor plan. Then go over here and grab model in place. And for this one's category, I could either go with the railings or the walls. That's really up to you. But for example, I'm going to go with the latter, which was walls. And after that, I'm going to grab the extrusion tool and easily draw those side walls. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, start from here. And down here we've got this boundary that also needs a wall. And basically we need to draw one wall for this side and another wall for these two separate boundaries. So I'm going to go back to the base and continue drawing like I was. There are also these boundaries. I'm going to continue picking all these lines. And the last one is here. Alright, now we're going to trim these two together. And this part is fine. And this is also fine. And finally, we're going to trim these two together. So basically, the wall goes around and ends at here. Then there's another wall coming this way and ending here. Now, why didn't we draw these walls together and connect it to each other? I could easily extend this one this way, then go up and cover this side. But here's the thing. You see, for the parts that need walls, we shouldn't use model in place to draw them. We usually use model in place for drawing elements when we can't use the WRFCRs to do that, and we have no other choice but to use model in place instead. Not to mention that even on here, the ideal condition would be that you try to draw the walls here as much as you can, and only draw this one part using model in place. Again, that is the most ideal way, but I just wanted to draw these in one go, so I drew them this way. But to show you what I meant, I'm going to delete these lines, then I'm going to draw walls here for one of the ramps and only use model in place for its landing, but then I'll continue using the wall command. But now if I go over to the ribbon and click finish, then go take a look at the ramps in 3D. This is what it looks like right now. Alright? Now this will have to start from the negative 1.90 offset. In fact, I'm going to put that for the extrusion start. That's negative 1.90. And the wall will look like this. And as for the extrusion end, and then have them go up by 3.40. So we could just put equals negative 1.90 plus 3.40. And this will be the result. So now these walls are kind of like a speed bump for these ramps. Now besides that, we could just go over here and measure the distance. For example, this part is 20 centimeters. Then cancel the model in place command. And I could have just gone over here, selected the wall command instead, and in fact drawn a 20 centimeter thick wall. So for instance, we're going to grab one basic wall type, then go over here and duplicate it, and in its name we're going to change this one to 20 centimeters. Then we go over here and put that for the thickness as well, then click OK. And this is actually the second option where we could have done this. We could draw a straight wall up to here and use model in place for parts where I can't. So let's also draw this side using the wall. And then on this side, the thickness of the wall increases. So then we would have to edit its type. Okay? So this was another way to do it. Then I could also take this wall and extend it over here up to this curve. And that's actually right on the curve line. Let me back this one up a little bit. And for this curvy part, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab model in place, then select the walls category, and then I'm going to use the extrusion tool for only this part. Using pick lines, I'm going to select these boundaries, and that'll be it. Now trim these two together, this one with this one. And now this one part has been deleted, so I'm going to draw it again, and finally click finish. There we go. So as you can see, this was another thing that we could have done for modeling these walls. Now let's check in 3D. And this is the result. Now I'm going to do one more thing, which is that I'm going to select these walls. And then I'm going to go over to their base offset and make it negative 1.90. So this will be their base offset like the stairs. And as for their top constraint, I'm going to set that to the ground floor. And for their top offsets, I'm going to do the same thing I did before. So equals negative 1.90 plus 3.40. And here they are. Not to mention that I could have also assigned different materials to them, but we're going to do that another time. Now I'm going to go over here, select this one, and edit it. And I could put those same values for this one as well. So the extrusion start would be negative 1.90, and for the extrusion end, negative 1.90 plus 3.40. And now you can see that the top side of this part aligns with the walls. Alright, now there's another thing we could do, which is actually aligning these surfaces or tops together and locking them. So just to be safe, you can always align them further. The same thing goes for this side, as in you could rotate and go to the bottom, then align this face with this one and lock them together, like so. So this is the ideal way of modeling this part, as in only for the parts where you can't use WRFC for drawing the elements, you could use model in place because you have no other choice. But there are some people who just draw along and draw the whole thing with model in place. But I recommend that you draw this way and draw these walls part by part. But there are some times when people do the other way and draw all of it in one go, which you can also do if you want to go faster and finish it quickly. But again, the ideal way is that you try your best to draw everything with WRFCs as far as you can, and not draw all of it using model in place. Because as you may already know, the length of the elements which are drawn using model in place will not be mentioned in the schedule. They don't operate with levels either, so these are a couple of the disadvantages of drawing using model in place, which make it better not to use. But for some other parts like this one, it might not even be too bad to use model in place. So it makes no difference whether you do that or this way. I've explained both of them to you, and the better way to do it is what we just did, but it's up to you to choose whichever one you want. Now here I could also select these walls and change their materials and give them the same material so they look similar. So that's that. And so far I've drawn these stairs as well as this ramp. In the next session we will be modeling this garden and also draw the floor here, and essentially we will finish our site.